Okay, so we have a whole lot of ground to cover, and I'm going to do my best to try to squeeze this all into one tutorial while still keeping it easy to follow. Just a brief background on this, the way that where this came from is this vertical tracer. It snakes, each hand snakes at the shoulders, but on the way back, one always stays in a wall plane. See that? Now, I was seeking a way to do this where it would snake at the shoulders both ways through. And it was proving difficult, so I tried to analyze exactly what the problem was here. As you snake the first time, it works, right? But the way down, the way back isn't quite as easy. So I look and I have my left hand on top and my right hand on bottom. This is the problem area. So what I did was I turned around, and now my left hand can easily snake down, while the right hand comes up and it can snake as well. It's effectively the same as the one in front. So we turn back around. So it got me thinking, what if I could take my front wall plane and my back wall plane and assemble them together into one pattern in wheel plane? And once I could get consistently the front pattern and the back pattern, I could turn my body and do the front pattern and the back pattern all while facing one direction without actually turning. And this is the process that I went through, and this is the process that I'm going to teach you. First, what I want you to do is make sure you have this, your vertical tracer with extensions. Now as you do this, once you reach your extension, I want you to do a turn over here until your left hand is on the top. Okay? Let's do that real quick. Left hand on top. Now do your vertical trace. Do another extension turn till your right hand is on top, or whichever dominant hand you end up in here. Once you get that, what I want you to do is practice turning in the other direction as well. Now that you've got that, the next step to do is, instead of actually turning through this, we're going to kind of plant ourselves in what is now wheel plane. So we're taking our wall plane and turning it into wheel plane, right? Hips squared off in this direction, and we're going to turn our shoulders, do our, okay? You do your extension turn, keeping your hips and feet planted, trace, and come back. Try this a few times until it feels fluid. Next thing, what we're going to do is, once you have that fluid, we're going to cut out the extensions. We're going to just do our trace and come straight to the other side, like this. And I'll show you from the side real quick. Right hand up. Always keep an eye out for that when doing these. Once you cut out the extensions, you can kind of lose track of which hand you're supposed to be leading with. Right now I'm leading on the way down with my right hand on top. Get over here, make sure my left hand is on top. Trace, right hand on top, left hand on top. Awesome, you're halfway there now. What we're doing right now is one half of the super snake pattern. We are doing this vertical trace combined with this vertical trace, well, without turning, okay? Just like that. The next step, of course, is to do this in reverse. We were doing it in forward while facing this way, so now we're going to do it in reverse facing this way. This way is a bit trickier, namely because there is a moment where it's not like the forward direction one where they're both in this plane, they trace, and then they're in this plane at the same time in the same place. While in reverse, you're going to have your top one being in this plane first, and your bottom one will come over just afterwards. But don't worry, it'll all kind of fit together, and it'll make sense once you put the forward and reverse patterns together into one forward-facing pattern. So what you're doing is start off the same way we did with forward. Square off to the side, and start your spins. Do your trace, and do your extension. So your left hand is on top, trace, extension turn, till your right hand is on top over here. So we're going to do this the same way. When you've got that down, we got to cut out the extensions, and this is where it starts to get tricky. If you see, as I trace here, I'm going to leave my left hand behind my head. Where I would normally want to bring it to the front, I'm going to leave it here, and then bring the bottom hand over to that side. Now, I do my other trace, leave the top hand and back, and then come back over like this. Okay? Now, one thing I hadn't pointed out yet was that, remember how I was saying after you do your trace, you leave the top hand on the out plane and then you come back over. When you actually put this together, what you're going to do is you're not going to have that extra beat where you come over and then do your trace. You're going to actually start your trace as you're coming over. So if I am coming from this trace, I do my tracer, right hand's on top, my left hand is still wrapped around on the backside plane. Instead of coming over here and then tracing, what I'm going to do is start the trace as I come over. So the hand that's wrapped around like this is going to trace the entire way across my stomach and around my head to the front side. Here's the front side. Yes. So it should look a little something like this. Okay. To make it a little more clear what my hands are doing, I thought I'd show you the hand path with individual hands. So, in reverse, starting from here, the trace has happened, and now I'm here, with my right hand in the front plane, left hand in the back plane. So I'll wrap up this hand first. My left hand is coming across the chest, okay? It's going around to the back of my head, and it's going to swing around like this, okay? From here, this is what it looks like, around and here. Okay? The other hand, here. My right hand is coming to the back side, right here, taking the root around my head, to here. Okay? So from here, around my head, to the front. Now it's time to put these two parts together. The part where they staple together is as your hands are traveling around the neck, right here. It's a familiar feeling to doing shoulder meltdowns like this. That moment right there, point it out again, here, that's the moment where both of them are going to staple together, okay? So if we take a step back to the first pattern that we worked on, you have this, right? You'll notice a moment where it feels like it's starting to go into that meltdown, right there, okay? That is the moment where you're going to shift into the reverse pattern. So you come over here like this. Now freeze and just kind of like ease your way through it. Okay? As you come over here, bring that right hand all the way around to the front side again. Okay, and then you end up in the, like right where we left off on the reverse pattern, just like this. And we just covered how to trace through this with this bottom hand coming across the chest. Okay, so let's do that. Now we're back here. Now let's try that again from the beginning. That all the way through, and then to here. Trace through. Now, the next thing, as we trace through, to staple this together on the way back, we're going to come to this position. Okay? So instead of tracing through like this to both hands in wall plane, put this bottom right hand behind like this. And then in the same way that we trace through like this, where you initiate the trace before this one comes over to the front plane, we're going to do the same thing here. Okay? We're going to drop left hand behind the head, just like that. On the head, back into this feeling. Now we're here. Now we're here again. And this should look just like this. Now the next step, you're going to want to throw in those anti-spin pedals. I would suggest waiting a little bit, getting pretty comfortable with what you learned so far before moving on to the next part. But you're more than welcome to continue paying attention for notes for later. You can just kind of remember it. Unless you're picking up on this like a ninja and you have it already. You're like, give me more, give me more. So here it is. When you're in this position, all you have to do to start this flower is, as you begin the trace, as you would do that, you're going to shoot your bottom hand out at the same time as this top hand traces behind the head. Okay? Looks a little like this. And now you're back to the beginning, right? As you trace the way back down this way, instead of bringing your left hand up through the center, you can shoot your left hand out to this pedal, like that, okay? But instead of this top right hand tracing right back to wall plane, it's going to go under the arm, like this. So you're back to the starting position, okay? So right hand out, stop here, left hand out, now you're back to square one. Again. And the reverse side, this time your top hand is going to be the one that initiates the anti-spin, or it is going to be the one that is anti-spinning. So now when you initiate the trace, you shoot out like that. It works in the same way, so we won't have to go over it as much as we did the other one. To show you what it looks like all together. Have a good one. Thank you for watching.